So what we're going to do tonight, and we'll try to be to the point and respectful of people's time. But what we're going to do tonight is we have a fun announcement that we'll make right away. Some of you may have heard about this already, but it's very aligned with our mission and vision, and so we're excited about it regardless, but particularly appropriate, I think, given where we're headed as a company. And then take you through kind of where we're at and where we're going, and then answer any questions. So with that, I'm going to share screen. Everyone can see our current website? Okay. So
Yes.
thank you. Most of you have seen this. This is the CME site today, and it's been really a tremendous vehicle for us to work with members, artists who become members, showcase artists, help them to gain exposure on our website and across social media. Here's a listing of multiple exhibitions, shop art, and we have a lot of content. We're really deep into content marketing. And the reason why I'm showcasing that today is, as effective as this vehicle has been for us, the most important thing is that it's really been a learning exercise for us to embark on where we're going. So my name is Brendan Burns. I think most of you know me. I'm the founder and CEO of CME. I will introduce the team a little bit later because I'm not in this endeavor alone, of course. But where we've been is what we like to characterize as Art 2.0. In other words, CME, where we've been, and a lot of the current participants in online art are really companies that have come on the scene and really transitioned and brought art from simply physical space to also digital or virtual space. But where we go next is really, really crucial, and the art industry itself is at an inflection point. What we're doing at CME is really bringing physical art from emerging artists to digital economies and to new consumers, and we'll talk about those in a minute. Why is that so important? Well, today's art industry is really stuck. For the last 20 years, there's been very little innovation in the art world. Market share has been concentrated among the biggest players, auction houses whose names you know, major blue chip galleries, and so on. During that period of time, we've seen small and mid-sized galleries truly struggle. In order for them to even survive, to stay in business, they do what it might be predictable, which is that they focus on their current customers or collectors and promoting established artists because they feel like that's a predictable way to generate revenue and stay in business. But the bar for them to succeed has gone up and up and up, from all kinds of costs like rent and so on to new and emerging technology, and they're not really able to innovate. So the net result of these factors has created very low access for new and emerging artists at all stages of career development, frankly. And to the extent that artists get discovered, it's often random. It's not systematic like most other industries. There are also very few new consumers, and we use that term intentionally, and collectors that are really being brought into the ecosystem. The reason why I make the distinction is that most collectors don't start self-identifying with the term collector. They think of themselves as a consumer who really likes something, whether it's music or it's stamps or it's Pez dispensers like the founder of eBay years ago, or art. And it's only over time that they actually grow into that concept of being a collector. And so if you look at the way the art industry is structured today, they don't do a great job onboarding or educating people. In fact, the industry is opaque. In many cases, it's not highly transparent. I would argue is anti-consumer in a lot of ways. So it might surprise you to hear this, but this is really true. The traditional art market has experienced fundamentally no real growth since 2008. It's a $70 billion industry today that's actually shrunk when you adjust for inflation. See me, I showed you our current site on purpose, because the last few years we've dug deep to understand the industry for the purpose of figuring out a path forward. Over that time, we've generated 6 figures of recurring revenue. We've developed strategic partnerships with some of the biggest brand names in the industry, like Scope Art, Sotheby's Institute, Earl by Netgear. We've worked with over 9,000 artists from 35 countries around the world and developed a sizable social media footprint and vibrant email list. This process has given us a deep understanding of the supply side of the market, meaning the artist side, a deep and granular understanding. And we've refined our strategy. In other words, really we're about to embark on a pivot point to unite demand with supply, meaning new consumers that really desperately want to identify and support artists. So this process, what we call customer discovery, has really been all about first understanding the artist needs. And what artists have told us is that marketing is necessary and extremely time consuming. Discoverability is really the only path for them ultimately to make sales, but it's so hard and it's usually random. Anyone can go on Instagram, anyone can have a website, but getting useful traffic and exposure is much harder. Visibility is a bigger challenge. Managing sales, managing multiple platforms to be effective. If you start to think about that, all of these practices in combination result in artists taking away from their time to make art. So the pain point is really extreme for them. It's different for consumers, but no less critical. So what the new art collector or new art consumer really wants, and this is all validated statistics and has been reinforced by our own experience and research. The new consumer wants experience. They want a sense of discovery and excitement. They want transparency in the process, and they're accustomed to it. You don't list prices. What does that mean? That doesn't make sense to most people who have deep e-commerce experience in other venues and with other products. They want to make direct relationships. A simple way to say it, and this is certainly true of most millennials today, is that they think about how they move through the world as curating their own lives. And they want to feel respected in their choices. And so a big part of what we're doing is positioning ourselves to really respect and honor their choices and give them choice and options that are specific to that. The incumbents, meaning those blue chip galleries and those auction houses, they are poorly positioned to satisfy this demand. But the time to do so is now. There are 3 major trends that are converging, and they're the following. The biggest one is that global spending, really generational wealth transfer, is expected to exceed $10 trillion over the next 15 years. At the same time, as we started to talk about here, shift in consumer behavior, around the desire for transparency, but comfortability, purchasing online, facilitating real connections. All of those things are really necessary requirements to make people feel comfortable spending that money. And the good news is that new technology today that really didn't exist 5 or 10 years ago is also available. And this technology, when used right, supports new distribution channels and ways to market oneself inside and outside what were formerly closed ecosystems. That's what CME is doing. So CME is introducing what we call CME 3.0. CME 3.0, and I'm going to show you an example in a second, combines the best elements of LinkedIn from the artist perspective with Spotify from the collector perspective, from an art point of view. We enable inbound sales for artists, referral commissions, all art that originate from an artist profile page. And I'll show you some examples of how it works in action in a second. You'll see the look and feel is quite different. We're allowing for deep marketing tools where an artist can actually be discovered on social media and facilitate conversations between artist and collector. And from the collector side, they can feel like they're having direct connections. And we're making available a dynamic calendar and portfolio. So let me switch over for a second here. So here's the website, the wireframes of the new site. And you'll see here, it looks very different. Your ability to start connecting. CME is positioned to become your art dealer. We're telling the story for how we empower artists, how we inspire collectors. So this is the overview here. For artists, we're offering tools to help them build a sustainable career and take ownership of their practice in a way that gives them agency and brings them closer to money. Coaching, critiques, financial and legal practices, and the ability to protect their work. So this is a quick example of how it works. From the artist perspective, they can set up a profile page, get organized, and then start using tools to engage their audience. This is the collector section. Easy and intuitive, discover art you love, grow and build your collection, and then engage and even talk to experts around how to buy art and identify artists. So you'll see a profile set up and so on. In practice, here's how it'll work. Imagine that you're surfing Facebook and you see this image. You click on the image, say, wow, I really like that. That would take you to the CME site. And you're like, I'd like to understand that a little bit better. Here's the price, it reveals the price. Now I'd like to speak to the artist. And you can see the opportunity right from CME to communicate directly with the artist. I won't read this whole thing, but it says, "Hey Alex, I see that you liked one of my paintings, so the artist is responding here." And the collector is following them, and the collector writes back, "Hello, I love your work. Thanks for letting me know about your print run. I'm looking forward to seeing it, and I'll stay posted." And the person will get automatic updates. We also enable the artist to distribute their work directly across other platforms. Just like in this case, the artist's same work is distributed over Artsy. Here's an example of a dashboard that we've given to the artist. So we're helping them become more effective. This not just helps the artist, but helps drive sales because we're offering tips and other pieces of advice that make their sales more their sales more effective and more successful. This is the artist inventory page. Here's where the artist adds a product. And one of the things that's really kind of cool here is the artist can add the product. They'll add a description, purchase and rental terms, and then they can cross post onto Artsy, First Dibs, or as an NFT onto OpenSea, for example. Here's an example of how that happens. And the artist has posted this here onto Artsy. It's available as purchase or for rent. And then the last component here is social media scheduling. So today, artists have to go to multiple different platforms and understand the platform in order to actually promote themselves across social. And like we said, it's highly time consuming. From this case, right originating from their profile page, they'll be able to promote, schedule a post. So now the bride, that's the name of the image, is going to go on Facebook on 11/16 at 9:30. Let's schedule the post, and you can see the image shows up. So there is what if you take a step back, what we're really doing here is enabling the artist to act in a way in their own behalf that's highly efficient. And it's the way we like to talk about it is just like in other creator-driven industries, like music, like film and video, where companies like Spotify have helped narrow the gap between the creator and the consumer of the product and the content. That hasn't happened yet in visual art. That's what we're doing, and that's why I showed you that example right there. How are we doing this? Well, from a high level, we're enabling art as a physical and digital investment using a smart contract that's tethered to broad distribution. So what this does is gives the artist intellectual property protection. It enables them to enjoy a royalty if their work gets resold. And from the collector side, there's a direct tether to a secondary market if they have the opportunity or want the opportunity to exist today. It also is, as we just showed you, is integrated with outbound email and social integration. Again, though that doesn't exist today, and it's going to drive a lot of both value and sales over time. And we use artificial intelligence to make intuitive recommendations. Sitting behind all of this work is a predictive algorithm. And the predictive algorithm is really the third layer in our revenue model today. So we make money. I'll show you our revenue model in a second. But we make money from subscriptions and entry fees into open calls, from the sale of art, and the long tail on how we make money is that predictive algorithm. So all the while that we're encouraging artists and reinforcing their ability to bring data onto the platform, we're analyzing that information and developing insight in a learning model into artists who should become successful, and then supporting their ability to do it. So the long term for what we're doing is really recognizing talent, betting on that talent, and enjoying the upside. And so if you can imagine, when we have 10,000 artists on the platform, we know the top 2.5% to 5% have the chance to become elite. And what we've seen to date is that over the course of 4 or 5 years, the value of that work will increase 4 or 5 times at least. Okay, that's like a 100% internal rate of return for any of the people in the audience who have a finance background. So as you think about how that the value of that portfolio across a big base, over time, that becomes actually extremely large. and our cost base is very low. And we're aligned with the artists because we want to help grow the value of that. So I'm not doing this alone. We're blessed with a phenomenal team. We have artists and art lovers and collectors in our platform that range in age from 20 to 75, and highly diverse. And so we've put a team together which is also highly diverse in terms of expertise, age, frankly, geography, gender, so on and so forth. So I'm joined by people with deep experience in product development, software development. Angelica and Narissa and I think Maria are all on the call, and frankly have really succeeded at the highest levels of finance. I've been a 25-year entrepreneur, and I'm also a professor at the Business School at Columbia. So, why are we all here tonight? We're raising $1.5 million. It's a $6 million pre-money safe, really to build the next version of the platform. Everything we've done so far has been with minimal outside funding, and we waited specifically until now because we have a firm point of view for how we're going to spend that money, grow the value of the company, and help our artists and our collectors become really successful. So we hope you'll join us. Here's a link to our campaign on Republic, and anyone who has specific questions or would like to invest directly, we're certainly open to that as well. And with that, I'll take some questions.
Brendan, here we have a question. Give me a minute. What is your go-to market strategy?
From the artist side, so we focused on artists first, and so from the artist side, one of the key things is remembering that each artist has his or her own audience that they're actually bringing to the party. So by incentivizing them right from the get-go and arming them with easy-to-use tools that are integrated into their profile, they actually will go out and market themselves using CME's tools in a more efficient way than they're able to do today to that audience. So for example, if you have an artist who's got, let's say, 500 names on her email list, and she's got a social media following of maybe another 1,200 people on Instagram and so on, she starts using the tools. If someone who follows her comes on to see me, we immediately ask them who referred you. And so when that person says, well, Angelica referred me, then we actually record that in the person's profile. And if that person who comes on the platform buys work from a different artist or creates value in any way, we actually reward Angelica in a wallet that's integrated into her profile. So right from the beginning, any artist can actually benefit, can make money when they're sleeping, support their own career when they're sleeping from connections that they've already developed. So that's the first case. And if you think about, if each artist has, on average 500 people in their network, and there are 1,000 artists, that's 500,000 people that potentially onto the platform, and so on and so forth. So that's the first thing. We also have been very successful with business development relationships. Active effort now where we're marketing through various colleges and other organizations. Our relationship with Sotheby's Institute is also highly effective for us. We haven't introduced this yet, but we will have a specific way for galleries and art professionals to also participate in the platform. And then, of course, there's social media. social media and paid media. And then the last thing I'll say is that from a consumer slash collector point of view, the reason why a lot of entities in the art space fail, or they're not as successful as they'd hope, is they underestimate how long it takes and what you have to do in order to build a real following. So from just like we've used incentives to encourage and grow success with artists, we're doing the same thing around a sense of community for consumers and collectors, but with the added notion that it'll take time, and we're going to build and make sure that people are happy over time, that we can continue to make really good recommendations to them on art, but art that's consistent with what they told us they like.
Super, Brand. We have another question from Michael Phoenix. He's asking, how is CME helping artists expand beyond galleries? Examples: contacting game designers, musicians, other indie creators. Musicians could use the art in website, album cover. Game designers, a room, or even imaginary for promos.
Yeah, excellent. Yeah, Michael, great question. If you, in fact, I'm going to share screen again for a second. A moment ago, I was showing in our, bear with me just one second here, in our demo. This slide. This is the specific area where an artist can add a product, edit a product. We may change the language a little bit, but what their artist can do is pick the different areas where the work can be purchased and how, and pricing and how. So what we've talked a lot about this. What we anticipate happening is where it says license terms. So the artist will, and if they want our advice doing this, they'll be able to do this. They'll be able to click this box and define terms. And then what we'll do on the professional side or the collector side is the same thing. When a consumer or a professional comes on the platform and we ask them what their interests are and the specific types, we'll be able to make recommendations and help facilitate connections directly with artists whose work they can possibly license. Another thing which we don't have, and it's a little bit different than your question, but which we don't have in the product demo, but which we will be doing is a consignment. I'm sorry, not a consignment, a commission section of the site. So we will make it very easy for people to come on the site and say, upload pictures and say, I have a 5-foot space above, this specific type of furniture, and these are the colors, and I would like to purchase an oil painting, and here's my budget. And we'll make it easy for artists to submit proposals for that sort of thing. And so these are two examples of where we're bringing opportunities to artists that are difficult for them to source themselves.
Okay.
Hopefully that answered your question, but I'm happy to elaborate if you'd like.
We have another question from Sophie Delaplane. Can you speak a bit about the rental program?
Yeah, so rental is something that we're just testing right now, and where we're starting is in the corporate space. So we're working specifically with several co-working spaces in New York City, where we're making available art that we're actually first putting in the space, but making it available on a rent to purchase basis for the tenants in the building. And what we expect to do is expand that over time. Does that answer your question? Yeah, thanks, Sophie.
Okay, let me see if we have more questions. Okay, here's another question. Can you tell us about your fundraising process?
Sure. We're as I said, we're raising $1.5 million. There's two tracks to the process. There's a direct track, which I'll talk about in a moment, and then there's a public track that we are partnered with Republic on. And so Republic, I don't know how many people have been to our page, but Republic is one of the three leading equity crowdfunding platforms. And for us, going live on Republic was a way for us to have kind of a public billboard for who we are and to point people to it, and also to go through a process that is one that has all our information in one place. And the net result of that is that a lot of people, like we have about 100 people following us on Republic right now. Some of those people will become consumers, so it's kind of a functional customer acquisition cost for us, and it's a way to raise a little bit of money. The direct fundraise process is frankly how we expect to raise most of the capital. We're focused on art interested angels, high net worth, people that want to make money, but also invest in things that are on mission for them and that they have a value in. Some single family offices and some pre-seed type investors. And so we've really been at it for just a few weeks, and so far we've funded about $250,000.
Bren, I have something that came in on my phone.
Okay.
Somebody's asking me if they invest. So let's say it's they're saying if I invest $250, not a lot of money. $250. How do I become an owner? If this is equity based, how does that translate into real ownership?
Okay.
What does that mean?
Yeah. So the form of the investment, SAFE is an acronym that stands for Simple Agreement for Future Equity. And there are and so if the person invests through Republic, then they become a holder in what's called the crowd safe. They are a holder of record of that safe, and there are actual legal stipulations that govern the circumstances under which it converts into actual equity or shares in CME. It's a $6 million conversion cap. What that means is that if we raise $1.5 million, $1.5 million, you add the $1.5 million to the 6, and which means 7.5 million. 1.5 over 7.5 is 1/5, right? So that new group of shareholders will own 20% of the company in the aggregate. And if there are legal circumstances, and I invite anyone to really go read the document. But fundamentally, it's like if we do a subsequent round, which is likely at a much higher valuation, for example, like let's say we're doing everything that we expect to do, but we need more money. A year from now, we're going to try to raise $5 million at a $20 million pre-money. So again, the same 20%, but for $5 million. So the future value of the company under that hypothetical scenario would be $25 million, 20 plus 5, right? And the new shareholders will own 20% of the company. But the pre-existing safe holders will actually convert at that lower level. That makes sense. So their 20% will actually, that $250 will own more stock then I can't do the math in my head, but by about, close to 3 times as much as if they had vested the same money at that later date, if it happens in a year or 2 years or whatever. Hopefully that answers the question. And if it doesn't, please follow up and we'll try to point you to some examples because it can get a little bit complicated. But the one way to think about it is that the subsequent events matter, right? Because the subsequent events, define what the hypothetical scenarios are. There's one other thing I should add, which is on Republic, if a person invests $250, there's a perk involved. And that perk includes, if you're an artist, 1 year membership is included. Or if you're an investor who knows and loves an artist, then you can actually gift a membership to that person.
I don't think we have more questions. Maybe
I will bring up one last thing that people have asked us before because it's an important distinction, which is how are you different from Artsy and other online galleries? And the fundamental difference, the first fundamental difference is that artists cannot participate directly on Artsy. They have to go through a gallery or they cannot be on Artsy. And our view of the world is that in all professions, this hasn't happened in visual art yet, but in most professions, it has already, and it will happen in visual art, and we're going to do that, which is that we want to bring the means of success and exposure directly to the creator. And in the process of doing that, drive down the cost of doing business so we can create more value in the system that we can turn around and send back to the creator so they can make more art, so people will buy more art and it will become a flywheel. So that's why we describe what we're doing as an ecosystem and hopefully achieve that flywheel effect.
And then we have another question that is related to the one that you just mentioned, and is like why it is different for a collector to buy in the new CME platform, why it is different from, for example, Artsy or other platforms that sell art or galleries, online galleries.
Yeah, the biggest one is that more of your money is going to go directly to the artist, and you will have a direct connection with the artist. Like your primary connection is going to be able to be with the artist. That's another important one. Another one is that because all the work is actually recorded on a smart contract, you will have a certificate of authenticity. You'll have a piece of paper and a digital certificate of authenticity in the form of an NFT that's recorded on a smart contract. That's important to you because it's a way for us to easily communicate other pricing information around the art and the artist to you and to help you track future value over time. And because if someday you choose to explore selling that work, you have a backup, just like a file backup in the cloud, you have a backup of the origination and the price history of that work, and a direct connection to a secondary marketplace where if you choose to, you can try to sell it. So those are just a few of the specific benefits and differences. The last thing I would say, and honestly, I think Artsy is a great company and has done a great job, but it's a closed ecosystem. Okay, so you can't easily click off Artsy and go to the gallery's site. You can't easily click off Artsy and go to the artist. You can do that on CME.
We have another question from Paula Borsetti.
Great. Hi, Paula.
Paula, if I were to invest as an artist on Republic, when would the membership begin?
So that's a great question. Immediately, we have not. In fact, we've answered some of the some questions like that in the questions on Republic. But although we haven't made a broad announcement about this, but what's going to happen is that all members on CME will be grandfathered in at the whatever the membership fee is they're paying now. Okay. Once we launch on the new platform, though, any member who refers another artist will automatically have half of the fee that they paid or that's remaining on their agreement credited back into their account. And if they refer two artists, then they will have the whole fee credited back into their account. So part of the part of the reason why we're creating a wallet or a place for an artist to hold value is so we can easily deposit money from an art sale or credit from a different art sale that was a referral that they helped facilitate, or credit on this kind of scenario that I just described. So I know that's a little more information than you asked for, but hopefully that gives you a sense for where we're going. I mean, for the record, you know, if we have 1,000 artists on the platform or 10,000 artists on the platform, we're trying to help every single one of those people find their audience and communicate with their own audience more effectively. And if none of those people fundamentally are paying a membership fee, that's success for us. Because what that means is they're being successful selling art. They're happy enough, they're referring other people, and so on and so forth. That's what we mean in part by the term flywheel.
Okay, here's another message from Paula. I am just thinking if I know artists who are going to join this march, maybe they would want to invest and get their membership.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's great. I'm not sure if there's another question in that. Let me just read the question quickly. Oh, this March, maybe they would want to invest and get their membership. Yeah, any artist who does want to invest, as I said, we will make sure that they have a full membership right away, and either extend or in somehow credit them and recognize what they're doing. But we very much are excited about artists being owners in what we're doing and having a voice at the table, by the way. All right. Well, we thank you all very, very much for joining us tonight. It's fun. These have been, we've now done this a few times. I expect we'll do it several more, and we really appreciate your time. And if you have any questions for us, please do follow up and come visit us on Republic. We'd like to hear from you directly. We also, I'd be remiss if I didn't say we're going to be at the Affordable Art Fair in March at the end of the month. And then we have a 10-day exhibition in April. So in New York City, we will confirm the location within the next week or so. So thanks, everyone. Much appreciated.
Thank you. It's good to see some faces.
Thanks a lot.
Yeah, thanks, Sophie. And we'll be in touch.
Oh, very interesting. I have a lot more questions, but it wasn't specific to that. But really great. Really, you can see that the heart is in the right place to help the artist for sure.
Yeah, I mean, it's you know, we expect to build a really sizable and valuable company, you know, but we're going to get there because we've aligned what we're doing in a way that that people's interests are, you know, are firing on all cylinders, if that makes sense.
No, and the part that where you can easily market it, because even though artists know what they need to do, even I know what I need to do with social media, but I don't even have the time. But you're making it
Exactly.
so much easier and streamlining that. Just even that is great.
Yeah.
That's just even that one little thing. But yeah, makes a big difference. Definitely. All right.
All
Have a
right.
great evening.
Thank you.
Myself,
Bye now.
thank you for coming.
Thank you. I will definitely invite more people for the next
Oh, awesome.
Yes,
definitely-
we'll be doing these every Thursday. So it will
we'll
be great.
definitely invite some people because I think that they would benefit from this.
I'll call you in the next few days too, because if it's convenient, maybe we can do something in Miami.
I'd love to. That'd be great.
All right, sounds good.
All right, bye.
Thanks. All right. Good night, everyone.
Bye.
Eric, you there?